there's a bigger, broader definition of winning that we need to not be so locked in and obsessed with what the industry thinks of us.
I keep getting requests from everyone who listens to bring back some of the favorite guests that we've had in the last 5 years, and today's no exception to that. So Garrett Maroon, I mean, we had you on the show a couple years ago, and now you're back. You've done a lot of growing, a lot of changes have happened in your business since we last spoke. But hey, welcome back to the Neighborhood Realtor.
Matt, dude, thanks for having me, man. It's fun to be back. I have grown both in my business and in my size, wide instead of tall, unfortunately. But it is good to be back. Was that not funny?
Was that like sympathy weight? Because I know you've had like 100 new kids since we last talked.
We've had 11 teen children. No, so yeah, we've had multiple extra kids since I've been on. And yeah, man, nobody talks about how hard it is for the dad to lose the baby weight. You know what I mean? And they should. Definitely sympathy weight, man. It's been.
I'm just looking at the numbers. We just lost 90% of our female listeners.
That's right. It was a joke. I'm totally kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, stick around if you want to listen and hear about how to grow your business and how to make money and how to have more time for your family.
There you go.
This is the guy to listen to. But Garrett, I mean, I'm excited to have you on because you have great numbers, but you also have five kids.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
And a partner.
Yes.
And a family and a life and some hobbies.
Yeah.
That's a lot, bro.
It's wild. Yeah. So my wife, Rachel, who is incredible. We've got an 8, 6, 4, 2, and 8-week-old as of this recording. And yeah, I've got a real estate business. I've got a book coming out. I run a coaching and training organization, got a podcast, right? So yeah, there's a lot going on. But man, it's my heart and passion for our industry to know that when I came in, so 2014, Matt, I came into the industry and I remember the feeling of, hey, you can totally win in this industry, but the trade-off is it's going to take you like 60 to 80 hours a week. So are you cool with that? And hey, if you don't want to do that, that's fine, but you can only ever sell 10, 15, 20 homes a year. You're never going to succeed at the highest level. This is what success is, right? It's how do I know someone's successful? Well, look at them. They've got the super nice car. They have all the money. They do all this stuff and they work on the weekends. That's what successful people do. And I remember early on thinking, well, I'm not willing to give up my life just to quote unquote win. What if I wanted to define success my way? What would that look like, right? So, man, that's my passion, is to say, especially because a lot of agents, and my show too, a lot of agents are women and they're stay-at-home moms, or they're just moms in general trying to work. You all have a hard job, you do. And for the industry to tell you that you have to sell X amount of homes to be successful, when you really want to say, you know what, but I want to homeschool my kids and then I'll be able to sell 10 homes on top of that because, that's my priority. You're not getting the praise and the accolades that you should, to say, well done. You chose the right order for you and your family, and no one gets to decide what that is except you. So, man, that's been the shift for me over these past few years, is as I go out and I teach and I share, Matt, I just see over and over and over again that we're celebrating only the people. I'll give you a super quick story. So I was at this big real estate conference, and this woman's up on stage, Matt, and she's sharing, and she's a beast, right? Like totally amazing. But she's sharing about how her team sold 1,000 homes last year. Absolutely incredible. But she makes mention of kind of in passing, she says, well, the 2 years I was building this thing, like I didn't see my husband and my kids, but they get it now. Right. And she just kind of moved on. And I remember thinking to myself, like, hold on. Now, I don't know her. She might be the nicest lady ever. I don't know. So this is not about her character. But I remember thinking, hold on, why are we celebrating this? We made it real, and we made it okay for you to say, hey, don't worry about trading your family. Just go crush it and they'll get it and it'll be okay. And I thought, man, this can't be what we bought into. Yeah, it helps the industry because the broker makes more money, but it doesn't help me. It doesn't help my family, right?
I also want to say, it's not, people think that that's a really appealing message. And I think there's probably 5% of the market who gets business-wise turned on by that, like, let's grind, let's hustle, let's sacrifice everything, let's go on a calorie-restricted diet. We're eating a peanut a day and hitting 8 hours at the gym, and then taking a God knows whatever pills we're on. But that message, like, doesn't, like, I've met with 3,500 realtors. Like, I know you guys, and I know that the average person says and tells me that they're trying to buy back their time. They're
Mm.
trying to be a good parent. They're trying to play more pickleball, do whatever they're into. And I think they get alienated when they hear these speakers and these real estate experts with the message of like, grind, 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 sacrifice everything. And so like, I think we're actually talking at a really good time right now because there's more demand, whether it's quiet demand or loud demand, for your brand of how to get there with the playbook for getting there without losing it all.
Yeah.
Than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to get some tips. Before we get too into kind of like the playbook for the balanced breakthrough, why don't you walk us through kind of like what your numbers, what your team is doing in the last 12 months so that people listening can kind of like keep that in mind, your credibility, but also like what's possible. So first tell us where you are, what the average purchase price is near you, and then like what your team has been doing.
Yeah, man. So I'm in Southeast Virginia, near Virginia Beach. Our average price point around $330,000.
So you're not selling $10 million homes only.
No, that is, I've never seen one of those. I've never even sold $1 million house. I think 960 was our biggest maybe so far. But yeah, so my shift was, I've been 100% referral from day one in 2014. And fortunate, my second year, I sold 50 homes that year and did it every year since. And I'm not from this area. I started with 40 people in my database, right? It just was locked in and dialed in. I've never done a cold call open house, never done any of that stuff. Well, my shift happened, Matt, about 3 years ago, where I realized I was also in pursuit of the industry standard of I was building a big team, right? I had 3 other agents. I had 3 full-time admin thinking I got to get to this 7th level team, a team that's huge and big and I can walk away. Well, I realized, man, I don't want complexity. I want simplicity. And so I actually let everyone go except one agent, and I have 1 part-time transaction coordinator. And so that's the structure of my team now, just to give context. And in the past 12 months, we sold 60 homes by referral. So every deal that I generate and every deal that he generates, my lead agent, Jesse, takes all of them, except I keep maybe up to 5 a year and handle that. But for all intents and purposes, he's operating that business and it's allowing me to pursue what I want to pursue, which is helping agents, right? Not the consumer end. So, man, it's, I mentioned to you pre-show, but we had the worst quarter I've ever had, Q1 in my entire career. But somehow, and the Lord's kindness, had the best first half I've ever had. And so it's been a weird up and down year. I also mentioned to you, we just had 3 clients walk away last week from deals. 2 were not ours. The other one was ours. And 2 before that in the previous month. So, man, it's been a hard market for agents. It's been hard for us too. And it's been harder, I would say, to just stay on the track of doing the activity that we know makes sense, as opposed to freaking out and running for whatever we can find. So, man, that's a little idea kind of where we are
that's
right
actually, now. That kind of leads into some research I was doing this week, but I was reading that in the US right now, like we're seeing all these news reports that it's a buyer's market. And it's interesting because yes, nationwide, there are more homes on the market than there were a year ago. So that one stat would say it's a buyer's market. But the data that I read yesterday actually said that something like 50% more homes are being delisted this year than the same month last year. And that says it's not a buyer's market. That means that sellers actually have all the power or most of the power in many of these areas. And if they can't sell for the price they want, instead of lowering their price, they're just yanking the property and they're going to rent it. They're going to do something else. And I think that needs to be talked about because that's contributing to some of these deals that you mentioned that are falling apart. That's contributing to a lot of the stuff. People don't seem as aware, buyers don't seem as aware of their financial situations as they have in the past. And sellers don't seem to care. And I think those two things together are an interesting window in the market that we have right now.
You're right. Sellers still think it's a seller's market. Buyers are hearing it's a buyer's market, and no one is right. And so they're like, well, this is a buyer's market, right? Garrett, can't we get this big discount? Well, it's possible, but unlikely. And sellers are, why do I have to give them any repairs? This is a seller's market. Like, it's not, now I don't know. And Matt, you're in mortgage and you know better than me, but how do you even determine how many buyers are out there? That's what I don't understand, right? Like the buyers in my world now, unlike 2014, where they'd call me and say, Garrett, we're thinking about buying a home. Let's sit down and walk through the process. Now a buyer is, hey, Garrett, I saw this house and I was wondering if we could go look at it. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know you were a buyer. Let's get you approved and let's go look at it, right? That kind of thing. So I don't even know how they determine that, right, Matt? But I do think we're in people make emotional decisions, myself included, but we listen to what the news says. The excitement of, a week or so ago when Jerome Powell, the Fed chairman, came out and said, we're considering lowering rates, and then mortgage rates went down and people got all excited. Like, it's just emotional responses to everything. And so I think as agents, our responsibility is to break through that and help them start to think in a logical way. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's the reality of what's going on. Right? There are a lot more homes for sale today, like you mentioned, than there were a year ago, and fewer buyers because it's more expensive. From 2019 to today, the first-time buyer increase in their mortgage is like $1,200, something crazy. You would know better than me, right? At least in our area. And so you've got this significant challenge of these young people trying to break free from renting to go buy a home. Now, let me ask you, if you could put yourself in their shoes, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and you were looking at a home that you really liked, but you thought, man, I just can't quite afford it, but I'd love to figure that out. I wonder if the seller would help me. And that seller is like, no, you're going to give me what I want. I'm not going to help you at all. Is that the home that you would pursue to try to buy? And even if you went under contract, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, isn't it possible that down the road in that contract, you'd start to feel like you're not being treated well and you'd want out, right? So we've got to put ourselves in the shoes of the other person. You got to do the same thing with the buyer, right? Think about the seller. We could walk through that, but we need to be doing a better job of allowing them to express their emotions, but then quickly shifting them into a rational state of mind. Totally get that this is hard, right? But let's talk about the reality of where we are in this market, because I want to help you sell or I want to help you buy. And if we're going to do that, this is what it looks like.
I love that. I think putting things in perspective of reality, options, etc., is huge. And I think that also plays into marketing as well, in that agents need to look at every client they've worked with and then figure out what was the story here, what was the obstacle or the hurdle or that the buyers or sellers overcame, and how did you as the qualified real estate professional use your skill set to get them across the finish line.
That's good.
Over that hurdle.
That's good.
If you can take every scenario, buyer, seller, etc., investor, and kind of like make that story with a beginning, middle, and end, you can then use that to attract other buyers and sellers who are in a similar position. It also makes it seem like you do more work, right? I think all realtors need to get, and lenders need to get past this like problem of like, well, they listed it on the MLS, they got a bunch of offers, and they took the best one.
Right.
Yes, they did pay for $119 in photos.
Right.
Other than that, like Garrett had his admin and his team of 30 people click some buttons. Like,
true.
We need to get away from that by storytelling. Like human beings are wired to remember stories, not wired to remember the very basics of like, these are all the things that go into a transaction.
That's so good.
I think we need to get there. Let's talk about you for a sec. So, you've kept your production at a great level. You've kept your family income at a great level, but you've bought back your time and found more enjoyment in your business and in your family life by following a very specific playbook. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, brother. So, man, and I, again, as an encouragement to agents, I think it's easy to see someone on stage or hear them on a podcast and think, well, they've figured it out. I definitely haven't. I'm trying to figure it out, and it might be a little bit ahead of you. I might be behind you, but what happened to me, Matt, was 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm sitting in my backyard. I'm doing some thinking time as I try to do. And I had come up with a plan. This is when I had 3 agents and 3 full-time admin. I had come up with a plan of how to double my profits. But the only problem was I didn't know how to do that and not work an extra 20 hours a week. So I was working about 40 and I was going to have to work 60. Well, I thought to myself, man, this is a great plan, but something's not sitting right with me. We had 3 kids at the time. And this moment hit me, and I just asked myself this question and said, Garrett, 5 years from now, if you were looking back on the man right now today, who would you be most proud of? The man who figured out how to sell more homes, but work extra hours and make more money, but you're not going to see your family as much, or the man who figured out how to actually work less, make the same amount of money, maybe more, but the same amount of money, and spend more time with your family. And it was really clear. The answer to me at that point was, obviously, that's the man that I want to be. Well, so I come back up to my office, Matt, where I'm sitting now, and I have a whiteboard up and wondered, like, why did I even build a team like that? What was I doing? I think we get stuck in those moments of, I'm just doing stuff. I don't even know why I'm doing it. And I looked on my whiteboard, and there were only 3 things written there: number of transactions, GCI, and volume. Right? The only thing I was measuring was what the industry told me to measure. So if there was only one way to tell whether I was winning or not, then that's the only kind of actions I'm going to take. I got to get a bigger team. I got to sell more homes, right? I got to work more hours, so I got to make more money. So that moment for me, Matt, was the the changing, the shifting of the tide to say, you know what, I'm going to create my own scoreboard, right? I'm going to redefine what winning means to me. And I'm going to say, this is what I think matters, not what the industry tells me matters, right? Not the realtor prom numbers where it's like, oh, what ranking did you get? What award did you get, right? The reality became for me is I shifted from transactions GCI volume to, yeah, I have a profit goal. It's right behind me. I have a profit goal, but now I have a wife goal, which became 2 dates a month. Then I had a family goal, which meant take every 7th week off. And so now that I had a new way to keep score, right? How do you know if your favorite football team's winning? You check the scoreboard. Now that I had a new way to keep score, Matt, it had to be, okay, I'll give you an example. I had an opportunity to speak at this really cool event 2 years ago. And did it hit my profit goal? Yeah. Did it hit my wife goal? Yeah, I could still have 2 day dates. But it happened to fall on one of those 7th weeks off. So the answer was no, right? Because I was no longer scoring the way that I wanted to. And so it's this call for us as our industry to redefine the win, redefine success our own way, not just what makes the industry happy and quote unquote proud of us. And then it gives them this equipping of what I call the PDA formula. Now that you've got this redefined success vision and idea of what that looks like for you, how do we then go actually accomplish it? Right? Because we naturally fall back into, no, this is what successful agents do. You got to cold call 3 hours a day. You got to door knock. You got to post on social media. You got to do all these things. None of that's true, right? The reality is your job ultimately is not to be who everyone wants you to be. It's to figure out who you already are and go be excellent at that. Right. And then build a business off of that. And so, man, that's the heart behind, and I'll go into whatever, but that's the heart behind it. We can't let them tell us what winning looks like. What if I want to be famous at home, not to the real estate industry? Well, I got to show up, man. I got to be willing to put my phone away. So, it's a tough industry, and I get it. To all the agents listening, like, I feel for you because that's me too. And it was really, really hard for me to learn how to break away, put my phone away and say, you know what? The world's not going to end. But guess who needs me? My kids need me, right? My kids don't care how many homes I sell. They care whether daddy was present with them, right? My wife doesn't care. I mean, she cares how many homes I sell, right? But she cares more. Are you present with me on date? We got a date night tonight. She's not going to want to know that I'm picking up the phone to answer a lead that's got a 2% conversion rate. She wants to know, hey, are you here with me? Like, I want to feel connected. There's no value in you losing your marriage or your family all on the altar of some success just because other agents are going to cheer you on. That's not success. And if it is, please don't buy this book because it's not going to align with you. If you want a different version and a way to achieve it, man, that's what this is about. And that's really my hope for our industry is we reclaim intentional lives for ourselves, that the industry no longer gets to define what that is.
Yeah, and I find it's interesting too because we've had so many guests on the show. There's so many ways to get leads and there's so many ways to do business. And I think because of that, we've now seen that you can get most of your business off of your family and off of your close friend group. But I mean, if there's 2 realtors, let's say, I mean, in my friend group, my wife would joke and say it's like 30 realtors and like 1 doctor. I don't know.
Yeah.
So like every time we're out, it's real estate talk.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got to pick on one of my best friends right now, but like every time we're out, he is Johnny on the spot. He takes every phone call. He's missing half the dinners. He's missing, the funny, raunchy things that our 4-year-olds are saying to each other and all the funny stuff.
Yeah.
But he's doing great. He's having a great year. But he always has a great year. And the other agent at the table, she's chill. She has an assistant. She does her thing, serves the similar amount of buyers, but she always seems like less stressed. And I've noticed over the years that more of our friends have referred their personal deals to her because they feel like they're not stressing her out with it. And I think that plays into a little bit of what you're talking about, but your network notices, your kids notice, your wife notices. Like there's people who are able to handle a higher volume without that stress because they have those systems in play. They have a network of people, and the people in their lives who are most important to them understand that when they're with you, and when they're at work, they're at work. And there can be some good balance there. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. And I think you're proof of that.
Yeah, I agree. And I would even say, your buddy who's having a great year, is he, right? Who defined great, right? And I hope he is, right? But meaning that definition goes beyond how many deals is he doing. That definition goes to if he's married, how does his wife feel that she's being loved and cared for, right? His kids, how do you feel like daddy's showing up for you? It's a bigger, broader definition for us. And I hope that he is, right? But it's a bigger, broader definition for us. Whereas the industry said, I can tell whether you're successful by looking at your numbers. No, you can't. Right. I know so many. Super quick story, Matt, because we talked about stories, man. So this hit home for me about 2 years ago. I was teaching, what eventually became this book. And this woman walks up to me afterwards. She said, Garrett, I really appreciate your message. I'm a solo agent and a mom. That's how she introduced herself. And I had my best year ever last year. I sold 55 homes. I was like, that's incredible. And she said, so everyone's been asking me, what am I going to do next year? And I'm telling them 60 or 70 because we're supposed to sell more, right? That's what this industry said. And she said, but after hearing what you talked about, I'm going to intentionally sell only 30 homes and it's going to change my life. And I was like, what does that mean? My call is not to sell fewer homes necessarily, but she said, Garrett, because I got into this industry because I was never able to pick up my daughter for school. And that's what I wanted to do, have that freedom to do it. And guess what I've never done? Because I've been so busy selling houses. She said, Garrett, I'm going to intentionally do 30 and I'm going to pick up my daughter every single day. It's going to change my life and her life. And that's exactly what she did. I'm not saying everybody needs to go sell fewer homes. I'm saying the grind, the chase, the burnout, all of those things, they don't necessarily mean you're winning. Just because your neighbor in your office or wherever is going to applaud how many homes and deals you did doesn't mean that everyone else is happy about it because they're like, yeah, but you left us at home and never came home to see us and tuck us into bed, whatever the scenario is, right? There's a bigger, broader definition of winning that we need to not be so locked in and obsessed with what the industry thinks of us. We need to say, man, this is what winning looks like to me. You might win the platinum award. I might win a gold award, whatever. But you know what? My wife and my kids are so happy because daddy got to be home almost every single night to tuck them into bed. That's what winning looks like to me, right? So we've got to change that definition.
I think agents need to start by making a definition, right? Like we need to change the definition as an industry.
Mm-hmm.
But I think agents need to just sit down with themselves and have an honest conversation in the mirror and say, what is success going to look like for me? How will I define winning? And if you can start with that, you can take some advice from the industry and you could take some general ideas. Maybe your first year you want to sell 12 homes. I mean, sure, start somewhere, but then you need to look at what does that actually look like and how is that going to be accomplished in reality? Because I can tell you that when I meet with new agents, and that's probably half my meetings, they're all coming from different backgrounds and they're all coming with different assets and different time constraints, right? Some of them have an entire full-time job, whether that's being a parent or working at a machine shop that they have to do for their first year. And time is extremely limited. Success for that person could literally look like selling 3 to 4 homes in their first year, right? 3 to 4 homes. They make 3% commission on those. That's 10 to 20, 30 grand. That's a life-changing amount of money if you're a salaried employee.
Agreed.
And then it might be my second year, I'm going to go down to part-time at my full-time job and ramp it up to 12 homes and replace my income. These are realistic goals that you can hit. And then there's other agents that then attack their price point. Or there's other agents that say, now I'm going to refer out anyone I get that's not a close friend or family member. I'm only going to work with people that I truly am going to enjoy spending time with. I mean, there's so many ways that you could do that, but it's figuring out what is winning for you going to be.
Good.
And I can tell you, I am going to do I'm doing all of my meetings this year that I can, doing things that I enjoy doing. Meaning that if I a coffee and a lunch meeting, it's getting old, right? So if I'm doing a coffee or lunch, I'm going to a coffee shop or a lunch shop that I've always wanted to check out, somewhere that I've never been before,
Nice.
or that I literally get jazzed from just from going to the place. Not
smart.
If meeting with you sucks and you're a waste of a meeting, which obviously this is the best meeting I've had this week, but I'm still going to get enjoyment out of that meeting because I structured it in such a way where there were multiple ways for me to win. I'm crafting win-win situations in my business life, and that's helping me to get more enjoyment out of it again.
I like that. I wondered why you were in that fancy looking coffee shop. You just hate this so much.
Right.
Yeah, to one of your favorite places. I love that, man. That's great.
So tell us. So the book. Tell us about the book. So the book is called The Balanced Breakthrough. It's not out yet, but it's a pre-release situation.
Yeah.
How could people get more information if this is the kind of vibe they want to go for?
Yeah. So November 25th, it officially launches along with the audiobook. But right now, what I'd love for them to do is go to thebalancedbreakthrough.com. It'll take you to where you can download my PDA formula. So it's how I help people build predictable, profitable business businesses that align with who they are. Again, your job is to be you and be excellent at it. A totally free download. It's great value for them, gives them some actionable steps to take right away as well. And then it'll put them on a list to let them know when the book is actually ready to launch. Yeah, you can go grab it anywhere, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Walmart, Target, doesn't matter, for pre-sale. But I would say go to thebalancebreakthrough.com, check out that free resource, man. I'd start there because I want to help you today, not wait till November. And then we'll be able to help you again in November, man. So I'd go check that out first.
I love that. And just because we kind of end all the episodes the same way, which is a little boring, but I feel like this is where the magic happens. If someone tell us about the market, the real estate market near you, so that if people have clients who are thinking about relocating to your area, they have a little bit more firepower, a little bit more knowledge on how to refer to you and like what kind of market they're sending their clients into.
Yeah. So great, man. So we are one of only 2 areas in the entire country, us in San Diego. I'm in Hampton Roads, Virginia, Southeast Virginia, that have every single branch of the military represented. So we are very heavy military area, which means that our values stay pretty consistent, right? Because we're a relatively transient community. So we also are full of the coast, right? We're all up and down the coast. We have beaches everywhere. We have William and Mary, one of the best schools in the entire world right here. And so we have a really good mix of people coming in and out. And a lot of military end up staying here because they end up loving the area. They love the coast. They love being on the water and the beach. But man, it's a great area, as I'm sure yours is too. So yeah, man, however I can be helpful, I would be honored to be helpful.
Okay. If someone has a client moving there, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, man. So go check me out on Instagram, Garrett Maroon, GarrettMaroon. Shoot me a DM, or you can send me a direct text, 757-266-2876, and I will probably answer relatively quickly. How about that, Matt?
Unless you're changing a diaper.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. Unless we're changing the diaper.
You gotta have a balanced life. Well, Garrett, dude, thank you so much for being on the show today. I could not appreciate your time more. Good luck with the book sales.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.